Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Heron Marinor Seastorm Black. This watch is available from heronwatches.com for €595. Heron are a microbrand based in Canada, and the Mariner is available in a plethora of colour options. Of the colour options, I think this Seastorm Black version is the best looking. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in a watch box which is housed inside this outer cardboard box, and we have the Heron emblem embossed on the lid of the outer box. So I remove the lid to the cardboard outer box, which is a snug fit, and inside we have the watch box itself, which I'll take out and show you. So it sits in the base of the outer cardboard box. There's a piece of foam surrounding it, and that's a good snug fit, and it does a good job of protecting it in shipping from any damage. So the watch box is made from vinyl or PU leather with a black matte grained finish to it, rather like leather, flawless stitching around the perimeter, and the two halves are secured with a strap and a stainless steel popper. So good attention to detail because it's also signed with an embossed Heron logo. So both the left and the right hand portions open, and as you can see, the interior is fully upholstered with a contrasting white velour fabric to a good standard. So inside the base we have a padded pillow cushion which is also upholstered with white velour fabric to a good standard. That's a snug fit inside the base, and also good attention to detail because we also have a vinyl or PU leather patch in the base which also has an embossed Heron emblem or logo. So the padded pillow cushion is a snug fit, and it does a good job of protecting the watch in shipping from any damage, and the strap with the stainless steel popper secures it very well. So Heron deserve credit here because this is a mid-tier piece. At the €595 price point, they could have taken the less expensive default option of using a plastic or cardboard watch box, but this PU leather or vinyl hard shell case is very aesthetically pleasing. So with regards to items that come with the piece, it also comes with this fabric pouch which has a drawstring, and we have the Heron emblem in white. So this houses a 1.2mm jeweler's screwdriver, which I'll show you. Hardened tool steel tip, which is replaceable. It's made from mild steel, which is nickel plated, knurled shank to a good standard. We also have a rotating head, which has a knurled finish to it, and it's very good. It does suffice in removing the 1.2mm screw pins from the flat link bracelet for resizing it. And lastly, one also gets this plastic warranty card which has the Heron emblem in gilt, and on the reverse it details the terms and conditions of the 2-year international warranty. I want to give due credit to Heron here because often mid-tier micro brands at this €595 price point only cover their watches with 12 months of warranty. To get 2 years of warranty is good, and they deserve full credit for that. Now the only thing that's absent, and I would like to see Heron include, is an owner's instruction manual in the form of a booklet with clear concise diagrams and instructions in English detailing the operation of the movement use, which is the Miyota caliber 9039 automatic. Alternatively, instead of using a booklet owner's instruction manual, they could use a plastic card with a QR code that could be scanned with an Android or iPhone to download the owner's instruction manual. But it's missing, and I think at this price point in the mid-tier that is unacceptable. It needs to either have a card with a QR code that can be scanned to download the owner's instruction manual, alternatively a printed booklet with clear concise diagrams and instructions in English. That's something I think Heron should include. But good presentation. I like the watch box, jeweler's screwdriver, and 2 years of warranty is very good. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, we have a 39mm case diameter, and we have a bezel diameter of 39.8mm. So that's something I want you to be aware of because the bezel does overhang the head of the piece. So although it is a 39mm head of the piece, the 39.8mm diameter bezel overhangs the left and the right hand flanks by 0.4mm on the left and the right respectively. So visually it does look and also feel more like a 39.8mm head of the piece due to the bezel being larger than the case and due to the 0.4mm overhang on the left and the right hand flanks. But the case diameter is 39. We have a 46.5mm lug to lug measurement, a thickness of 13mm, and a lug width of 20mm. The flat link bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to 16mm at the 2-button push micro adjustment clasp. The micro adjustment clasp is signed to a high standard with high definition engraving of the Heron emblem. Longitudinal brushed satin finishing to the body, which has a beautiful luster, and that complements the longitudinal brushed satin finishing to the flanks. 2 triggers are also brushed satin finished and correctly proportioned. Nice heavy gauge to the 316L grade stainless steel. There's also a large bevel which is mirror polished, and that marks the transition between the body and also the flanks, and it's mirror polished to a flawless standard. No sharp edge to the top edge or the lower edge of the body, and the 4 corners have been deburred and chamfered, so it doesn't have any sharp corners. The undercut to the flanks is also deburred and chamfered very well, so it's a very well finished micro adjustment clasp. We have a boxed top hat style double dome sapphire crystal with AR coating on the other side, and the anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver mirror polished broad arrow hour hand and also the dolphin pointed minute hand. The mirror polishing to the hands, which are faceted, is perfection personified. They've done a very good job. The hands are clearly laser cuts, made from brass and then nickel plated and mirror polished, and the quality of the polishing to the faceted hands is excellent, both on the broad arrow hour hand and also the dolphin minute hand. Proportions of the hands are correct. Also, the mirror polished applied indices are very well finished and correctly proportioned. The legibility is very good. We've got a gradient dial which is charcoal grey in the centre, and then it graduates to black at the chaptering. The chaptering is printed in white text with high definition, printed with white minute ticks with high definition printing. Quality is very good, it's very sharp and crisp. The Heron emblem and also Heron text logo at 12 o'clock are nice and sharp and crisp. I like the fonts used, it's not too thick, it's not blurry, it's sharp. Also Marinor is clearly legible, and we have 300M for 300 meters, so just the right amount of information. Often microbands in the mid-tier have a tendency to over-brand the dial with unnecessary text and specification. The dial looks too busy, too cluttered, but this is minimalist and I like it because we simply have the Heron emblem, Heron logo at 12 o'clock, Mariner and 300M. Just the right amount of information for a dive piece. The dial looks nice and clean. Also like the shape of the index at 12 o'clock, it adds interest to the dial and also the silver mirror polishing to it, so it's very nice to have that emblem applied, and I like the symmetry with the absence of a date complication. It looks like a very clean gradient dial. With regards to the bezel, it's solid 316L grade stainless steel, coin edge finished, and the bezel insert is made from sapphire crystal, which is fully lumed with BGW9 Superlume Nova. So the applied indices and also the handset and the sapphire crystal bezel inserts are all fully lumed with BGW9. Perfect colour tone match between the bezel, the dial and the handset. I like the domed profile to the sapphire crystal bezel insert. It reminds me of the Blancpain 50 Fathoms. It has that same aesthetic and it's very well finished. The Arabic numerals at 15, 30 and 45 respectively have a nice font. They're nice and fine and high definition, they're sharp, they're not too thick. They've also done a very good job of inlaying the sapphire crystal with BGW9. The colour tone is good. Also the triangle is very sharp and crisp, and I like the hour marks in between the 15, 30 and 45 minutes Arabic numerals. So they've done a very good job of this domed sapphire crystal bezel insert. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Also complements the high dome of the box top hat double dome sapphire crystal. I like the dome of the sapphire crystal bezel insert, and also like the dome of the top hat style crystal. So coin edge finished teeth to the bezel. Now the thing to note is the bezel, the case back and also the bracelet and clasp are entirely made from 316L grade stainless steel, but it's hardened 316L grade stainless steel. It's hardened to 1200 HV. HV stands for hardness Vickers. So to put that into perspective, this piece is made from hardened 316L grade, which is 1200 HV. Standard 316L grade stainless steel typically has a hardness rating of 200 HV, 200 hardness Vickers. This is 1200 HV. So it's far harder and therefore more scratch resistant than standard grade stainless steel. And the benefits of that is, with regular wear in the areas that are prone to being scuffed and scratched, such as the bracelet clasp, for example, you're not going to get the characteristic scuffs and scratches on the bracelet because this is 1200 HV versus the standard 200 HV hardness rating of 316L grade. So it's very good. Every part of this watch is made from hardened 316L grade stainless steel. Bezel, case, case back, bracelet, clasp, and also the crown. They deserve full credit for that because it's very unusual at this price point in the mid-tier of €595. With regards to the finishing to the head of the piece, flawless brush satin finishing, which is radial on the tops of the lugs, and longitudinal brush satin finishing to the flanks, which has a beautiful luster to it, nice fine grained finish, both on the tops of the lugs and also on the flanks. We've also got mirror polished bevels, which mark the transition between the tops of the lugs and the flanks, and it's nice and crisp. The mirror polished bevel deletes any sharp edges, and also the tips of the lugs have been deburred and chamfered very well. The undercuts to the flanks have been deburred and chamfered very well, so no sharp edges to the head of this piece whatsoever. Quality of the finishing really is excellent, and they deserve full credit. It's some of the best mid-tier finishing I have seen at the €595 price point. So let's look at the bracelet and end links in detail. So female pivoted end links. What we're looking at here is correct decision after correct decision, because, for example, they could have used male end links. This does have a good short compact lug to lug measurement of 46.5. For a 39mm head of the piece, it makes it particularly suitable for smaller wrist sizes of 6 to 7 inches. So had they used male end links, that would have extended the effective lug to lug measurement beyond 46.5. 48mm is the sweet spot, so as it stands it's 1.5mm below the perfect sweet spot, but male end links would have made it too long for smaller wrists. But as you can see, the benefit of female pivoted end links is that they can articulate, and therefore the end link in the flat link bracelet can articulate beneath the tips of the lug, so a nice snug fit and a closer fit to the wrist rather than male end links. So the female pivoted end links articulate freely, they don't feel stiff or kink, they don't have excessive longitudinal, lateral, side to side or up and down play. Quality control builds quality and tolerances are excellent. Let's check the other side for continuity. Again, female pivoted end link articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have excessive longitudinal, lateral, side to side or up and down play. This is an example to other mid-tier microbrands of how to get the tolerances, build quality, quality control correct. Heron deserve full credit for this. These are excellent female pivoted end links. The flat link bracelet is one of my favourite aspects. Just look at the beautiful luster to it. Absolutely gorgeous, fine satin finishing to it, which is longitudinal, and that complements the brush satin finishing to the flanks. The links are flat links, but they have nice meat. So, in terms of heft, the bracelet does feel similar to a Jubilee style bracelet, alternatively oyster style bracelet. There is enough meat on the bracelet, and it also has the perfection personified taper, the industry standard of 20 to 16, which is the correct taper for a 39mm head of the piece. I often refer to the 20 to 16 taper in my reviews as perfection personified because it is the industry standard for good reason. For example, the alternative industry standard is 22 to 18, and that would look too thick and too wide for a 39mm head of the piece. 20 to 16 is the perfect taper. It cannot be beaten for a 39mm head of the piece. So, beautiful luster to the bracelet, very aesthetically pleasing. Now, it articulates freely. The flat links do not feel stiff and kink. Quality control builds quality and tolerances are all good. Doesn't have any sharp edge to the top edge or the low edge of the flanks, so it doesn't pull arm hairs, articulates freely, and it's not sloppy. Doesn't have excess longitudinal, lateral, side to side or up and down play. So the bracelet doesn't rattle, it's not sloppy, but articulates freely. The other thing I like to see is they've used 1.2mm screw pins versus the cost-cutting measure of push pins. Often microbrands will use the production cost-cutting measure of using push pins versus screw pins in order to maximise profit margin per piece by reducing the production cost per piece. But Heron haven't done that. They are using 1.2mm flathead screw pins. There are enough removable links both on the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock side of the bracelet to reduce the minimum size down to 6 inches, and the maximum size is 8.5. So there are enough removable links on the 6 and the 12 side, which is good. So again, let's check the other side for continuity. The links articulate freely. They don't feel stiff or kink. Doesn't rattle, doesn't have excessive play, but articulates freely. No sharp edge to the top edge or the low edge of the flanks. This is an example to other mid-tier microbrands of how to get the finishing, build quality, quality control and tolerances of a flat link bracelet correct, and also it's made from hardened 316L grade stainless steel with a 1200 HV hardness Vickers rating, so it's scratch resistant. Let's look at the clasp. So, micro adjustment clasp with 2 button push triggers. Nice heavy gauge to it. I like the large mirror polished bevel on the edge, which marks the transition. Beautiful luster to the body, and I like the engraved, sharp, high definition Heron emblem. So 2 button push triggers are heavily sprung loaded, opens freely. Beautiful luster to the top side, underside and flanks. No sharp edges to the top side or the underside of the flanks. The centre section doesn't have sharp corners. They've been deburred and chamfered very well. Let's check the hinge pins. Left hand hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, so the tolerances are good, doesn't have play in any direction, very good. Centre hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't have excessive play in any direction, feels nice and tight. Finally, let's check the right hand hinge pin. Again, articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have excess play. So, Heron deserve credit. This is an example to other microbrands of how to get it correct. Left hand, centre and right hand hinge pins all have good tolerances. Build quality, quality control are good. Also beautiful luster to the hardened 316L grade stainless steel. Beautiful finishing to it. Now, my favourite aspect of the micro adjustment clasp is the spring loaded trigger. There's 10mm of micro adjustment or one full link, which is good because we have the on the fly adjustment in the absence of half links in the bracelet. They could further enhance this. It's the one negative, or subjectively, the one thing I would like to change about this flat link bracelet. There are no half links, as you can see. We've only got full links either side on the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock side. I would like to see Heron update this with a V2 bracelet and include half links. One half link on the 6 side, one half link on the 12 o'clock side, because sometimes with flat link bracelets like this, one cannot get the perfect fit by adding or subtracting one full link from the 6 or the 12 o'clock side. It needs a half link either side. But we do have 10mm or one full link of micro adjustment on the ratcheting mechanism, which is good. So the trigger is firm. You've got to engage your thumb or index finger with it and give it a good hard push. Now it's now on its maximum deployment, so I'll push it in. Nice, loud, audible clicks. Feels solid, feels reliable and robust. So you've got to really push in the trigger with your index finger or your thumbnail, and then it will deploy 10mm. It deploys fully, nice and smoothly. When it's fully deployed, it doesn't rattle, doesn't have excessive play in any direction. Each of the clicks which ratchet have nice, loud, audible clicks, and they're heavy. So it feels reliable and robust. Now, when it's on its minimum, again, the end link in the bracelet doesn't rattle inside the body, so it feels good. The tolerances are good, and it doesn't feel stiff or kink. It articulates freely and deploys smoothly. This is good quality. I like it, and also like the fact it's made from hardened 316L grade stainless steel, so it's scratch resistant due to the 1200 hardness thickness rating. So it works very well. 10mm on the fly adjustment is good in the absence of half links in the bracelet. Right, so let's test the bezel execution and the screw down crown execution. So 120 click unidirectional coin edge bezel. Nice, loud, audible clicks. Medium resistance. Doesn't feel too heavy, doesn't feel too light. In terms of resistance, it feels very similar to a Seiko 5KX. Alternatively, feels very similar to a San Martin SN017G, which you will be familiar with. It's got that medium resistance to it. So, no lateral side-to-side play whatsoever. No back play whatsoever. So, it feels nice and tight. Feels even all the way through the 360 degrees, doesn't get tighter or looser, feels very well balanced. I like the loud audible clicks. One can feel the click spring engaging with 120 grooves in the hardened coin edge stainless steel bezel. Very satisfying to use, feels grippy and tactile. The large mirror polished chamfer to the top edge of the teeth, it deletes the sharp tips to the coin edge teeth, and it's a low profile bezel which gives it a vintage aesthetic, but it's very grippy and tactile without being sharp, so it doesn't dig into your index finger and thumb, it doesn't dig into the skin, but it feels grippy. You can get good purchase on it, so it's very good because it's low profile but grippy and tactile. I like the feeling of it, I like the look of it, and I like the sound of the audible clicks. Let's just check the alignment. One more click. Perfect. The fully loomed triangle inlaid into the sapphire crystal bezel insert perfectly aligns with the 12 o'clock index and the 60-minute tick on the chaptering. Again, this is an example to other mid-tier microbrands of how to get it correct at the €595 price point. This is perfect bezel execution. No lateral side-to-side play, no back play, even all the way through the 360 degrees, and the alignment is bang on 60 on the chaptering or bang on 12 o'clock. The index perfectly aligns the triangle. It's perfect. It's the perfect bezel execution. Very satisfying to use. So let's check the coin edge crown. screw down crown execution. So coin edge finished crown, solid 316L grade stainless steel, made from hardened 1200 HV stainless steel. And as you can see, it's also signed and mirror polished, and the matte bead blasted background to it is very aesthetically pleasing. Large chamfer to it, which deletes the sharp tips to the coin edge teeth. So 300 meters of hermetic seal with strong specification. Let's test the action. Silky smooth. This is sublime screw down crown execution. Minimal number of turns required to fully unscrew it. The interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube are perfection. It's sublime. It really is silky smooth. To put this into perspective, this is as silky smooth as the Rolex triplock crown on my Submariner date 16610, and I regard that as the industry standard. It is very smooth. This is as good as a Rolex triplock crown. That is the level of refinement we're looking at. If I had to give one word to describe this Heron Marinor, I would say refinement. The bezel is refined. The screw down crown is refined. It's fantastic. So, we're now in the manual wind position. One can manually wind the Miyota caliber 9039 automatic to its maximum 42-hour power reserve. One can feel the tension gradually building up. Now, it does feel lighter than a Seiko NH35A or an NH38A, which you'll all be familiar with. Feels more like manually winding a Sellita caliber SW200-1 that you may be familiar with. It's got a lighter feeling to building up the tension in the mainspring. Feels very smooth, and it feels very similar to an ETA 2824-2. That's the kind of resistance. So it doesn't feel rough or gritty, feels smooth, but it feels lighter than manually winding an NH35A. It's a characteristic of the premium 9000 series of Miyota calibers, such as the 9015 and 9039 respectively. They have that lighter feeling when manually winding them. So feels very smooth, and 40 clockwise full turns will be enough to manually wind it to its maximum 42 hours from a dead stop when the mainspring is fully exhausted. So, as this is the 9039, it's the no date version of the 9015. So the benefit of that is there is no phantom date setting position. The 9039 does not have a date complication. There's no date wheel beneath the dial. There's only one click on the crown. So pulling it out to the first click is the final click position. No phantom date setting position, which is good. So it's possible to hack the movement, and if you look at the second hand, you can see it's now stopped dead. So one can set the time precisely to the second with the caliber 9039 automatic. Nice light resistance to the gearing. There's no discernible difference between the 9015, which is the date version, and this 9039 no date version. They're both premium grade 9000 series Miyota calibers. The gearing meshes very well. Minimal backplay, feels smooth when you cycle through the 12 hours, both clockwise and anti-clockwise, and I like it. I like the quality control, builds quality and tolerances of the 9039. It's one of my personal favourite movements. So, minimal backplay. When you rotate the crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, there's an almost immediate response to the Dolphin minute hand. There is some very slight backplay, but once you become accustomed to taking up the slack, it's not detrimental. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. You can see the second hand begins to sweep around the dial at the characteristic smooth 4 Hz sweep. This is something I like about the 9039, the smooth 4 Hz sweep. So for example, with Seiko calibers such as the NH35A and 38A respectively, they have a stutter or judder to the second hand because they run at 3 Hz or 21,600 vibrations per hour. The thing I like about the 9000 series Miyota calibers, the 9015 and the 9039 respectively, is they have a nice smooth 4 Hz sweep because they run at 28,800 vibrations per hour, so it's more aesthetically pleasing. Nice smooth 4 Hz sweep. Let's test screwing the crown back down. Instant thread pickup. This is a perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. The quality control, machining and tolerances of the threads are perfection. This is an outstanding screw down crown. One of the best micro brand mid-tier screw down crowns I've experienced. It's fantastic, and Heron deserve full credit for getting it correct. Right, so let's look at the case back. Solid 316L grade stainless steel case back, which provides an effective hermetic seal to 300 meters. The centre section has an embossed Mariner emblem, as you can see, and it's mirror polished to perfection. High definition embossing and a matte bead blasted background to it. Now, the centre ring is concentric CNC lathe tool machined and engraved with the specification of the piece and also the reference number. The outer portion is also concentric CNC lathe tool machined with milled slots. The milled slots in the case back have been deburred and chamfered to a very good standard, no sharp edges whatsoever. This is a nice flat case back, it's not bubble back profile. And this is the benefit of using the Miyota 9039, which is a low profile version of the 9015, the date version. And I like it because it has a low cannon pinion stack height for the handset, but it's also low profile. It needs less clearance around the rotor versus the Seiko NH35A and NH38A respectively, which require bubble back case backs. So nice flat case back. The benefit is that reduces this piece down to only 13mm, even though it does have a boxed top hat style double dome sapphire crystal, which adds 2mm of thickness to the head of the piece. So low profile piece, thanks to the low profile movements. The case back is finished to perfection. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Nice to have the Marinor embossed in the centre, does add interest to it, and I like the engraving of the specification around the circumference. It's very well finished. The female pivoted end links in the flat link bracelet are a nice snug fit to the head of the piece, and I'm pleased to see quick release stainless steel spring bars versus standard spring bars, because that negates the need for a spring bar tool if you want to exchange the flat link bracelet for a strap. The underside to the head of the piece is concentric CNC lathe tool machined, and the flanks are deburred and chamfered very well. Also nice large bevels on the underside of the crown guards, which deletes the sharp edges. So there are no sharp edges to the head of the piece whatsoever. The flanks are deburred and chamfered, the tips of the lugs are deburred and chamfered. It's an incredibly well finished head of the piece. They deserve credit for a perfectly finished case. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now I haven't sized the bracelet. This is with the micro adjustment clasp on its maximum, and as you can see I can easily slide 2 fingers beneath the bracelet and clasp on its maximum extension of 10mm of micro adjustment. So this indicates it will fit up to a maximum large 9-inch wrist. Now I'm just going to move it down to its minimum to show you the fit when it has the 10mm of micro adjustment at its minimum. And you can see, even with it on its minimum setting, with 10mm of micro adjustment, I can still slide an index finger beneath the bracelet and clasp. So, on its minimum, it will fit up to an 8.5-inch wrist. On its maximum, it will fit up to a 9-inch wrist. So, plenty of links. The benefit is there are enough removable links on the 6 and the 12 o'clock side to reduce it down to fit a 6-inch wrist. So, 6 inches up to 9 inches, plenty of removable links. The proportions of the micro adjustment clasp are fantastic. Very similar proportions to a Rolex Glide Lock clasp, which I regard as perfection. It's not too wide, it's not too long. So even if you have a small wrist of 6 to 7 inches, it's not going to be too long and give you overhang. It will fit down to a 6-inch wrist without too much length or overhang. It's not too bulky, doesn't stick too proud on the wrist, and also it's not too wide. Very similar to a Rolex Glide Lock in proportions, and beautiful luster to it, as you can see, and I like the large mirror polished bevel on the edge. So it's a very nicely proportioned micro adjustment clasp, and 10mm of micro adjustment is adequate. The flat link bracelet has a beautiful luster, and as I've detailed, 20 to 16 is the industry standard for good reason. For a 39mm head of the piece, this is the perfect taper. It cannot be beaten. Perfection personified. Look at the luster of the fine satin finishing. Just absolutely gorgeous. Doesn't pull arm hairs, no sharp edges to it, articulates freely. Now, as I've detailed, we're looking at correct decision after correct decision because they could have used male end links, but the articulation is good. The benefit of the female pivoted end links is the end link in the flat link bracelet can pull snug to the wrist. We don't have a large gap which you would get beneath the tips of the lugs and the end link in the bracelet if they'd use male end links. Female pivoted end links are the correct choice and they articulate freely. The fit is fantastic. The angle profile of the lugs means that they angle down around the wrist with a minimal gap, and you can see the benefit of the flat caseback rather than the bubble back caseback because the head of the piece sits very snug to the wrist. Now this is exactly 13mm, and you'll know from my previous reviews I regard 13mm as the sweet spot because it means that it will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. So even though it has a boxed top hat profile to the double dome sapphire crystal, which adds 2mm of thickness, this is only 13mm thick. And it's not 200 meters, this is 300 meters, which is very strong specification. To be 300 meters of hermetic seal, the crystal needs to be 2mm thick, the caseback needs to be thicker. If this were only 200 meters, I would say 13mm is not impressive, but 300 meters means a thicker crystal, thicker caseback, but it's still only 13mm, even with the 2mm thick high dome boxed top hat crystal. This is incredibly aesthetically pleasing. Comfort level is 10 out of 10. Feel good factor is 10 out of 10. I love the domed sapphire crystal bezel insert like a Blancpain 50 Fathoms, and it really complements the box top hat crystal. Just a gorgeous looking piece. The symmetry of the gradient dial is good, graduating from charcoal grey out to black at the chapter ring, and lovely glossy finish to the sapphire crystal bezel insert. Just absolutely gorgeous. The low profile coin edge bezel has a nice large chamfer to it, which is very aesthetically pleasing. It's low profile. I love the way the mirror polished coin edge teeth catch the light. Just a fantastic looking piece from every angle. Everything about it, the bezel, the box top hat crystal, the gradient dial all look fantastic. The coin edge bezel is just gorgeous. The flat link bracelet has a beautiful luster to it. Feel good factor of this piece is exceptional. Comfort level is exceptional. Now, the thing to note is, one of my favourite aspects is the lack of heft. It's a 39mm, even with a very long bracelet. This is only 146 grams. Now, you'll know from my previous reviews, anything below 150 grams is the sweet spot. If you're going to wear a piece as a daily wear piece for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day, anything below 150 grams will give you comfort, regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist, respectively. At 146, this is very well balanced. The 20 to 16 taper with a micro adjustment clasp perfectly balances the 39mm head of the piece. The only thing to note is it does have a compact lug to lug of 46.5. Now, on a positive note, if you have a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches, the 46.5 compact lug to lug will fit you to perfection. It does still fit a larger wrist. Even on my large 8 inch wrist, this will fit a 7 to 8 inch because it's 1.5mm below the perfect sweet spot of 48. 46.5 is very good for 6 to 7 inch wrists and also 7 to 8 inch wrists respectively. So compact lug to lug, but the fit with the female putty links in the flat link bracelet is fantastic. So 146 grams means it's comfortable, doesn't feel top heavy, wraps around the wrist very well. Gorgeous looking piece. They've got the proportions correct. The taper is correct on the bracelet, proportions of the clasp are correct, the head of the piece is fantastic, the proportions are really good. So let's do a lume test and we'll see how the lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This has actually exceeded my expectations. We're clearly looking at 5 to 6 layers of BGW9 on the fully loomed sapphire bezel insert, the applied indices and also the handset. So one can clearly differentiate between the broad arrow arrowhead tip on the hour hand and the longer dolphin minute hand. Also there's a lume pip on the sweeping second hand. They've done a very good job of fully inlaying the triangle, the hour marks and also the Arabic numerals on the sapphire bezel insert. Perfect colour tone match in daylight. The sapphire bezel insert is white, and also the indices and the handset, and in the dark you can see the BGW9 perfectly matches. The blue tone is very good on the bezel, the dial and the handset. They've done a very good job of the bezel insert because it is difficult to apply 5 to 6 layers to inlay it into sapphire crystal, but you can clearly read the Arabic numerals and also the hour markers and the triangle. The benefit of this being a no date complication piece is the symmetry of the dial, and one can clearly orientate where 12 o'clock is due to the applied emblem at 12 o'clock. Stellar performance, and I really like it. Very aesthetically pleasing. BGW9 is the correct choice. Right, so let's discuss the movement use because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. So you'll all be familiar with the Miyota Caliber 9039 automatic. I often refer to it in my previous reviews as being one of my personal favourites, Miyota 9000 calibers. So the 9015 has the same architecture as the 9039. There are two notable differences. The 9015 is the date version. The 9039 used in this piece is the no date version. The other notable difference is the 9039 is a lower profile version of the 9015 because it doesn't have a date complication, but also has a lower cannon pinion stack height for the handset. So the benefit of it being lower profile than the 9015 is the movement is thinner, and therefore the thickness of the head of the piece can be reduced. This is only 13mm because even though it has a box top hat crystal which is 2mm thick and a thick case back to provide 300m of hermetic seal, it's still only 13. If this were powered by an NH35A or an NH38A, it would be over 13mm thick because it would need a bubble back case back to clear the rotor, and the NH35A and 38A respectively have a taller cannon pinion hand stack height. So 9039 is low profile. Architecture is the same as the 9015, and it is a reliable, well-proven Japanese-made calibre. So the 9015 has been in service since 2009. It is unquestionably well-proven, very reliable. The 9039 has been in service since 2018. So at this stage in 2025, it is a reliable, well-proven workhorse Japanese calibre. Has 24 joules. It runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. Hand winding and hacking are useful complications, and they work correctly as I've demonstrated. The benefit of it being a no-date complication version of the 9015 is there is no phantom date setting position, so there's only one click on the crown versus the 9015, which has 2 clicks, so that's good. 42-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable, and the stated accuracy of the 9039 is -10 to +30 seconds per day, so a rather wide accuracy range. However, I'm pleased to report that Heron are doing a good job of regulating the calibre 9039s they're using. This one is running consistently at +6 seconds per day, which is actually within chronometer grade accuracy of -4 to +6. +6 is very accurate and well within the stated accuracy of -10 to +30 per day, and it clearly indicates that Heron are regulating the 9039 calibres they're using in 5 positions, which is very good. No negatives to the 9039 whatsoever. Builds quality, quality control, materials, finishing and tolerances are all excellent. The accuracy is excellent. Feels very good to manually wind. Hacking works well, and I like that there is no phantom date setting position. There's only one click on the crown. Correct choice at this price point in the mid-tier, €595. The 9039 is excellent, and I'm pleased to see that Heron didn't use the cost-cutting measure of using the Seiko NH38A, for example, because that would have maximised their profit margin per piece, but the specification would have been poor value at €595. So 9039 is correct at the price point. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meets 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So mid-tier piece, price point is €595. Yes, this is unquestionably excellent quality, and yes, it is unquestionably excellent value at €595. This is a perfect dive piece. There is nothing I would change about it. The specification is absolutely loaded. This is entirely made from hardened 316L grade stainless steel. Bezel, case, case back, bracelet and clasp. Hardened 316L grade stainless steel with a hardness rating of 1200 HV. Hardness Vickers versus the standard grade 316L grade, which is only 200 HV. So, hardened stainless steel, that makes the price point justified. Also, the 9039 makes it justified versus using a less expensive calibre such as the NH38A. BGW9 has stellar performance. The sapphire bezel insert is absolutely gorgeous, and also the AR coating works very well on the box top hat crystal. Bezel execution is perfect. Screw down crown execution is silky smooth. The micro adjustment clasp works very well, and it's finished to perfection. Everything about this piece is fantastic. It's a stellar piece. €595 is excellent quality and excellent value. I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money, and I'm going to highly recommend it to you for consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Heron Marinor Sea Storm Black. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.